Achtung, Achtung, hier ist Alex Wright, and you are listening to Chat, Grapple, and Cheat Pops with JB and Chris Dredd. Enjoy it, or I come over and kick your ass.
Welcome everyone to another special episode of Chat, Grapple and Cheat Pops podcast. I am Chris Dredd, here with my main man JB, and we have got a very special guest this week. We have someone who has been in the wrestling business for a long time in the UK scene. He is what you could call our Mr. Miyagi. He was integral in the training of these two jabronis many moons ago, and we're really excited to call him a friend and to have him on the show. So JB, what are you saying, bruv? You good?
I am wonderful. This has been nearly 3 years in the making, hasn't it? Let's be honest.
That's right. Yeah.
We have left this one so long. I almost think he probably thought we hated him or something, but no, we don't, and we love him, and here he comes. Oh boy, this is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, baby, let's do this.
Hey, what's up, guys? JB from Chat, Grapple, Cheat Pops, the best Chris in all of wrestling podcast, Mr. Chris Dredd, and we have a ridiculous guest for you. One of the best. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the guy with such fucking great promos. There's only one other guy that's better than him, and he's the one with the lisp, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing you in. Sunset Skip, how the fuck are you, man?
Boys, it is an absolute pleasure. Dusty, one of the greats of all time. Here's the American Dream, but Sunset Skip, you can call me the Neon Dream, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here on the Chat, Grapple, and Cheat Pops podcast. I've been super hyped for this, so I'm well excited to be here and having a chat with you boys. It's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine.
Man, JB was saying before that we've been doing this for nearly 3 years, and you were probably starting to think that we fucking hated you or something for not having you on yet. But, we just been building this up. We started just doing reviews of shows, and then it all just started with we had Santino Marella on, and since we had Santino on, it's literally just been like snowballing a bit with guests, but we've had a few people from WCW. We've had we had Joel Redmond on, which was a fantastic guest.
Man.
Joel's a top dude, man, former NXT champion. We had Sonny Ono on. But now we have fucking Sunset Skip, and we are absolutely just gassed, mate. Gassed.
Boys, the only way is down from here right now. Like we've started to hit, when you kind of get to that plateau, and then it just starts to kind of cannonball down. We're on the greasy bit now. Like there is no brakes. We're just all lube. We are just heading down into the quagmire. And I'm so excited to take you there. I always take everybody down with me. I drag you down to my level.
It's all giggity. Let's do it.
Oh hell. Let's get this party started. Skip, we met you on day one of training at wrestling school. Holy shit.
Indeed. Look at that.
Look at that. Some proper J-bros there. You were looking at them going, fuck this, man. What a class this is.
Dude, I've had some good and some not so good classes, and you guys definitely tip more towards the good side of those classes, because it's all about passion and how much you want to do it and how much you want to learn. And I think you guys came in at a really difficult time for wrestling. Like it was that mid 2000s thing where there just wasn't the opportunity to branch out, and age and real world always kind of conspires against us for all of these sorts of things. But you guys absolutely killed it when you were training, so yeah, it was brilliant having you guys there.
We loved it, man.
Yeah. Almost nothing better at the time, was there? Like, you're looking forward to wrestling training every fucking week, man.
It was.
Yeah, man. Was it Monday nights? Do you remember we even did it in the snow and all sorts? We had that crazy snow, and we all still managed to get there. I think we're the only people in that leisure centre that day.
And you make fast friends when you've got someone else's testicles on the back of your neck. You become friends real quick.
You know, it only gets weird if you make eye contact. So you
That's
know,
right.
that's always been my golden rule. Just don't make eye contact, and it keeps it just that little bit off from being weird, because you know we wear weird clothes. We're all up in each other's business, but if you just stared into each other's eyes for that little bit too long, that would make it uncomfortable.
That's right.
That's what we do, man.
That's wrestling. That's in a nutshell.
Let's talk real quick. Like, how do you feel the state of British wrestling is at the minute, man? You're in there. You're a heartbeat of it. Like, what's going on?
See, at the minute, again, like what we said a minute ago, it's always been through peaks and troughs, and I think at the minute there's so much positive stuff going on. Like, there are so many companies, good companies popping up, because you know, you guys saw it when there were companies popping up left, right, and center, and they'd do one show, and guys like myself and some of the other guys who were coaching you would be approached to do them. We get messed around, you know, they'd not run a show, you'd book in the dates, and then it'd cancel last minute on you. That happens less and less. There's still a few iffy ones here and there, but for the most part, for me, it's really positive. I mean, like, I looked at my calendar in November, and myself and RJ Singh were talking, and both of us are pretty much booked up for the entire year around what we can do. So that's super positive to be. I've never been booked a year in advance. I've always had like a month or two ahead of bookings. People would be like, oh, can you do this date? And I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. But this last 2 years, I've had to have an actual diary and go, November 9th. Yeah, I think so. I'll put you in there. But it's like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in bloody this weekend, let alone November 9th normally. But it's real good. So for me, looking at it, it seems to be a bit of a boom period at the minute. There's loads of people getting really, really good exposure in different ways. People are kind of branching out. And I think following the whole NXT UK thing, I think this is now like a rebuilding phase, and there's people really starting to make it their own scene. And I think that's a really exciting time to see.
It's great as a fan at the moment, because I mean, we're in Hertfordshire, being Hertfordshire's best wrestling podcast.
100%.
Yeah, so we're in Hertfordshire.
I would even say Hearts, Beds and Bucks' best wrestling podcast. Just to put it out there, all three counties.
He's definitely buttering our parsnips right now. But you know, we've got the ability to see quite a lot of wrestling around where we are. We've got like local promoters, people, you know, running shows, that people that, you know, have been involved with, and we know we've got, you know, UBW doing stuff at the moment. We get a lot of really good wrestlers coming to the Stevenage Leisure Centre. What's it? The Gordon Craig. I mean, we go regularly. We've just missed one that we both couldn't make it for.
It was last weekend, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was Rev Pro, and we've been to 3 recently over the last year or so.
Yeah, they hit up 2 or maybe twice or 3 times a year, I think.
Yeah, and we went to the UK the J Cup. We went to the UK J Cup. We saw Speedball Mike Bailey.
Unreal.
Leo
Such a great
Rush,
dude too.
Leo Rush,
Minoru Suzuki. Yeah.
Minoru Suzuki. We saw it, bro. There's a story that I told you another thing. We saw it in Nando's. We were in Nando's eating, right? And I just bought one of his t-shirts. And they wouldn't let him in because they fucking shut the kitchen down. He was pissed. And like, we just finished, and I followed him out.
Granddad.
And just asked for his autograph, and he literally just turned around and went, no. He just fucking point blank just knocked me off. But we do get to see some great, I mean, you know, some real great talent coming to Stevenage. I mean, we had who was it? Aussie Open was here.
Yeah. Open quite regular, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the last Southside show I went hanging out with RJ.
Southside, baby.
And that was where like Cody Rhodes and a whole bunch of the AEW talent, MJF and QT Marshall were there.
Yeah.
So even in, I mean, you know, Stevenage in reality of things is a small town, half an hour north of London. You'd expect those sorts of levels of shows to be in London, Manchester, Birmingham, whatever. And to have them in a small town in Hertfordshire is pretty incredible. And there are those sorts of levels of shows dotted all around the country on a semi-regular basis at the very least. So I think it's a hell of a time for both the performers to be on those shows, to have those aspirations of being there, and also for fans to be able to go and see a show in their local town, and they might, like, we had Speedball Mike Bailey on a couple of UBW shows a couple of years back. The guy's arguably the best actual in-ring performer in the world.
Oh, he's
He's
fantastic.
wrestling in the community centre in Biggleswade. Like,
It's nuts.
this is a guy who's, you know, in terms of ability in the ring, it's like having a Ronaldo turn up for a kick around at the Bulldog Arena on a Thursday night. You know, it's not knocking any of the ability about anybody else on there,
Absolutely.
but somebody of that absolute top tier ability is just coming down to, you know, a small independent show in Bedfordshire. It's wild. So it's a hell of a time for performers and fans alike.
This is why it's good. I mean, because there are some really good British wrestlers coming through, and for them to have the opportunity to work in the ring with these guys is, I mean, 100%. We saw Minoru Suzuki against Dan Maloney, right? Yeah. And boy, that was a fucking great match, because for me, Dan Maloney is one of the UK's like up and comers right now. He is, you know, the driller. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he really, I get really excited when I see him. No pun intended, JB. I can see your face already. But there's a lot of stuff also on the, if you've got like an Amazon Fire Stick, there's loads of wrestling channels that are streaming like British wrestling. And, you know, you've got the TNT stuff going on in Liverpool. Dan Maloney was their champion, and they have a load of people jumping on their shows. I think they got Scotty Too Hotty fucking coming back in July or whatever. So, you know, so British wrestling has always been able to tempt those stars from overseas. But it's great because British wrestlers, as you well know, Skip, like technically, a lot is expected from British wrestlers. Even Joel Redman was saying when he went to other places, they always expect the British wrestlers to like be technical and know what they're doing. So
definitely.
I mean, as a trainer yourself, I mean, did you come up through Hammerlock and that, bro? Was that with?
So I was just after Hammerlock. So guys like Ash and Curve, they came through Hammerlock, and Jody and Johnny, and I came through Dropkicks in
Dropkicks. That's
it. Yeah. 2001, 2002. I started. But even then, it was old school British guys. It was Tony Scarlo and Frank Reimer, who passed away just a couple of years ago. Yeah. It was 2 years ago. 2 days ago, 2 years ago, Frank passed. And they were British wrestling guys. And, you know, there was that understanding that you had to be able to wrestle. You had to know holds and things like that. And then I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time working on holiday camps with Johnny Kidd and Blondie Barrett. And again, they fused that classic British style. Like Johnny Kidd, you guys have seen him, is just unbelievable. You know, he's one of the last masters of that British wrestling style. And then they fused it with the more modern stuff to keep themselves kind of, I wouldn't say keep them relevant. That sounds, you know, downplaying their abilities.
Sure.
But just because they knew that they had to be ahead of that curve as well, they fused their incredible skill set with that modern style. And, you know, this was 20 years ago and they were still at the top of their game. And it helped keep them, their classic British style kept them as unique as anything else, which was incredible.
I mean, you were part of a tryout with WWE in Dubai, is that right?
Yes, yeah. They came down to the training place.
I mean, tell us how that went, and also, did NXT UK ever call you?
No, NXT UK never called me, unfortunately. I think my phone must have been turned off those days.
I reckon.
But
yeah, definitely.
You know, they must have put an extra 0 at the end or something like that. You know, it's you know, is what it is.
They thought you had the Dubai number still. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. They were dialing 971 rather than +44.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, there's probably some I don't know, some doctor who's keeps getting phone calls in Dubai from WWE going, no, you got the wrong number.
Where's Skip, man? Where's Skip?
I'm an optician, not a yeah. But no, I think the whole when they came to have a look at the talent over in Dubai, it was like the first wave of the big publicized tryout that they had at Dubai Opera House. So they came down and had a look at the talent. This was when they were really looking at the expansions for NXT branches all over the world, and it was quite an interesting story because at the time I was 34 at the time, and that was 2 weeks ago. We'll keep that, but you know, the guy who was running the wrestling out there contacted me and was like, "Are you going to be there for the tryouts?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably will, but it all depends on work. It was a Tuesday night or whatever. And it's like, why aren't you super excited? I'm like, I'm old. I've been wrestling 14 years. I'm not what they're looking for. But I went down, and it wasn't like me being kind of too cool for school. It was me being probably realistic / pessimistic about it, because it's a casting, isn't it? You go out to the Middle East, you're not looking for a bald white guy. You're looking for, at the time they were desperate and still are desperate for Middle Eastern and Indian talent. So that's what they're looking for in that region as well. But went down, and I was at the tryout, and I was wrestling a guy that I wrestled a whole bunch of times. Is this big Egyptian fella called the Pharaoh, and he hit like a bus, which I enjoyed, because I'm not afraid of a little bit of the physical side of things. But we had our little trainer match in front of talent relations, and it was the vice president of talent relations, Canyon Seaman, and his number two. I can only remember his first name was Paul, not Paul Levesque. That would have been very, very interesting. But we had the match, and it was what it was. There was this showed the difference between my mindset when I was younger and older, and now. The planned finish of the match completely went belly up, and at grown up age, I kind of went with a wistful smile and went, well, they saw that it didn't quite go to plan. Something happened. There was miscommunication with the guy who was wrestling and the referee, and whatever happened. But instead of, I'd have been inconsolable 10 years before that, thinking, oh, this was my shot, my chance, and it hadn't gone right. But we kind of improvised and worked around it, and we still got. We always drew a little audience there. It was right in the workers' community of Al Quds in Dubai. And then people would just hear noise and shouting and grunting and people being thrown around through the windows, and they'd just congregate and appear and watch. So we'd always build a crowd. So for this behind closed doors tryout in the gym, we still ended up with a bit of a crowd, and they reacted to it. And then I got some real great feedback from the head of talent relations, which at that point in my career, and even now, I thought I will probably never get this opportunity to speak with somebody who is that high up on the totem pole. So I had reality just a couple of minute chat, said, we like what you do, but we're not, you're not what we're looking for right now, but here's some things to kind of work on. Here's some things that were really good. We like this, try doing these things. There weren't many of us on the day that got that actual forum with Canyon Seaman to get a minute or two of his time to get some feedback. So that was really, really useful. And that was something that I do really look back on with a lot of pride and great fondness.
So with the WWE, there's always a lot of, I say controversy, but a lot of people kind of think a certain way about the WWE going to the Middle East and going to Saudi Arabia and places like that. What is the interest over that part of the world for wrestling like? I mean, what do they like? I mean, from what I hear, they really love like the 90s stuff. I mean,
yeah.
What do they? I mean, what's it like over there, dude, wrestling?
See, when I was out there, it was really a fledgling scene. It was Dubai Pro Wrestling at the time, and there'd been like a couple of random super shows in Dubai, and then in Qatar, there was the QPW super shows where he'd get a lot of former WWE talent, and there was such an untapped market up for it, and that's what I think's kind of expanded. The guy who ran Dubai Pro Wrestling, he left the country, and then it just kind of floundered for a bit. And some of the other wrestlers and some of the newer wrestlers who have then built the scene back up under the Wrestling ME banner and the WrestleFest DXB banner, and they had their co-promoted show with Progress. And there is just this huge appetite for it. They've built a real niche following. They've got their own regular venue. I still speak to a few of the guys who are regulars on the show from my day, so to speak. Man, I sound old there. From when I was out there, and there is just this passion, and I think they do want not quite the full-on Attitude Era style of wrestling, but they desperately want that wide range of things. They want the athletes, they want the freaks, they want the characters, they want all of the gimmicks and all of the things that kind of sprinkle on it, because wrestling's such a unique thing. It's never really had much of a presence out there. So having this opportunity to perform and build their own scene, I think the Wrestling ME guys and all the former Dubai Pro Wrestling guys have made an incredible stamp on it and started to make their own actual mark in there, rather than it being wrestling shows with a potential of building a scene. I don't think they'll ever have. The UAE is a very small country. They'll never have like a multiple company independent scene like the UK or Germany or US or Japan or Mexico, but it will it looks like they've got their staple companies there. They're kind of a sister company to one another. So there is that great scene starting up there.
Decent.
Sorry, I just had to mute myself because the dog was kicking off. he's fine now. He's just being led out the room. So
I did see you looking aside like, what?
Yeah, he got really leery for a second now. He's a little dog though, so I can take him.
On a good day.
Put him over strong. Put him over strong, right?
That's right. He works snug, that dog, though, bro.
He does. He works very snug.
They always do, man. Never work with kids or animals.
Trust.
Sorry, that's a good one. I quite enjoyed that. Where were we? Dubai. Yeah. Sorry.
Dubai.
It was warm.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was it like? Were they air conditioned arenas and stuff, or was it like were you hot?
It was hot. Like most of the places we worked were air conditioned. But when I was out there, I worked in such a mad range of different places. Like in the UK, it will pretty much be leisure centre, community centre, arena. That's pretty much the kind of the scope it is with the odd working men's club when you're at the very, very small shows, things like that. Out in Dubai, I worked in an enormous shopping mall. We were part of PopCon, and there was the guy that played Luke Cage in the Marvel series, Luke Cage. I can't remember the character's name because I never watched it. There was Brianna Corrigan not Brianna Corrigan because she was a singer, for the girl that played Negasonic Teenage Warhead in the first Deadpool film. She was there as well.
Wow.
And they were all part of the attractions there, and we did PopCon one year. Now, this mall is in the absolute back end of beyond, right? If you drive, because I lived in Abu Dhabi, and to drive from Abu Dhabi to Dubai was an hour and a bit in a straight line on a 5-lane highway where there is nothing but sand either way for as far as the eye can see. And then you get a couple of garages and they're like big rest stations. Then you get this really cool place called Last Exit. On one side, it's all like pop art themed, and the other side is all Mad Max, like food trucks and whatnot like that. Real cool place. Like I used to love coming back there when I was going between the two. But that's it. You got like an hour and 10 minutes of nothingness, and then you get to what looks like the set of Blade Runner. When you get into the actual city of Dubai, you keep going through there for another like 40 minutes, and then you're in the back end of beyond at this outlet mall, and there was nothing around. There was this big, I lie actually, there's this big arena called Autism Rocks, and I saw Guns N' Roses there, but it's like, and this is just an arena made of shipping containers. But apart from that, there is nothing, like just sand and bleakness. And you're like, this is wild. So I wrestled in that, this massive mall. I also wrestled in World Trade Center, where I'd seen a bunch of bands that I'm big fans of. I wrestled at Zero Gravity Beach Bar. So yeah, there was a wide range of really, really different places that we performed at. And then of course we had all the regular gym shows in the gym in Al Quoz, which is I want to say it's kind of run down. It's like the industrial area of Dubai. So it was real weird and wacky variation of places I worked, but it was awesome, man. I loved it.
How long were you out there?
Just 2 years. Yeah, two years or so. And came back to reality.
So working in all those like those arenas and stuff, and like these malls, and all that, like I mean, surely you could have big timed everyone when they asked you to go and wrestle in Biggleswade,
I wish, but I should have, whack a zero onto the end of my wage, so or 0.0 at the front. I can't remember which way it goes, and I never remember. I think I end up big leaguing myself.
So, I mean, I don't know. You got saying.
No, mate, you go.
Sorry, man. No, I keep jumping in, but it's just we've got Skip on, man. You know. What I mean?
Of course.
So I mean, you started at drop kicks, came through that. You were working a load of the you say like the holiday camp kind of stuff. And I mean, at the moment, so who is it you're working with at the moment? You got so you're saying you got a few bookings and that.
Yeah. So
shout outs to some local indies, man.
Yeah, so I'm keeping pretty regular. I mean, like I said earlier on, like at the start of this year, end of last year, most of the regular companies I work for said, we have these dates, what can you do? And I'm regularly working for UBW, which came from the Ashes of the training school in Letchworth all those years ago, and has grown into, you know, being a real consistent series of shows which are growing in quality. Some great wrestlers have come through the old UBW Academy, and now that's known as the Square One Academy. UBW got their 10-year anniversary show in September. I think they're still sorting out the venue, but they're looking to have a real good venue for that. So I'll have to have you boys down for that one.
10 years, that's crazy, man.
It's wild. Like, I still remember vividly the first show. Like, the whole day, I could probably blow for blow tell you what happened in the build up to it, putting together a lot of the card, because I worked a lot closely with the booking side of things back then. You know, and even the match, like, I remember that the two matches I had that night super vividly. They're two of my favorite ones. So yeah, UBW are celebrating their 10 years. I've got quite a few shows coming up for DOA Wrestling. They're based in like Norfolk and Suffolk way. I'm there in Great Yarmouth for them this Saturday, March 18th. Then I've got Wrestling Society. They do a lot down in Bristol and Swindon way. They came from the ashes of the 4FW promotion, who used to have incredible shows, and they're showcasing some brilliant talent, and they're using talent from like Hertfordshire way and from down in the like West Country. So all of those shows are definitely worth checking out. I've done quite a lot of work for CXW, who are Essex based, and now Pro Wrestling East up in Cambridge are starting to kind of run some real fun shows. So it's really good that I've got a few places that I'm kind of keeping my toes in fairly regularly on a pretty cool basis. So
CXW, I think Johnny Storm works for them quite a bit.
Yes, yeah. So I do like Braintree, Colchester, and they're Paris, the guy that runs CXW, is absolutely brilliant. Like, he goes out and does a lot of flyering and stuff, dressed up as Macho Man. Like, you know, the effort he puts in to sell out these shows is brilliant. Like, nobody else is doing that sort of stuff, and it's just, you know, putting those boots to ground and doing
flyering,
it.
that is old school,
mate, and it's working. You know, he's selling out 300, 400, 500 seater venues, and he's not trying to do it every single month. He knows, okay, if I absolutely bust myself for 3-4 months at a time, I can put on this massive show, get a load of asses in, and then hopefully start to do it. So he's putting the effort in, and more power to him. You know, there's no one else doing stuff like that, and it's paying dividends for him.
Well, fair play to him, because there's literally nothing worse than a greedy promoter who will run show after show after show in front of no fans and then eventually just fall apart. Like, it's
killer.
It's a common theme, It's,
you know, I mean, you guys saw it a lot even when you were starting up. You know, you'd hear the tales from the more experienced guys coming shows, and the trainers. We say, oh, we did. I think every week we had a new horror story of where we went to promotion X and promotion Y, and the promoter disappeared without paying people, or was like, oh, I can only pay you this, or you know, there was never a good outcome for other people from that. But you know, we'd have all of these horror stories from those days, and they seem a lot fewer and far between.
Sorry, I was going to say, sorry, you never worked for All Star at all?
When I first started, I did a couple of rumbles for them when I very first started. My first match, which was terrible. I had no clue what I was doing, no business being in there, and I got an absolute hiding for being terrible. But that was all the way back in 2003. So, Jesus, 20 years ago.
Who was it?
The match I had, the only singles I had, was against Hayde Vanson.
Hayde Vanson
was still pretty green at the time as well. So,
wow.
Man, I mean, that brings back, when you say that, I just think of like FWA.
Man.
It's those are the days, man. You know, FWA. Do you think there will ever be like another? I mean, without TV in this country, really, it's kind of tough. But you know, I mean, Rev Pro, pretty good progress. You know, people
I would
like
say
that.
they're the probably two closest things to. I mean, FWA came about at such a unique period of time, didn't it? Like the whole, I say the internet wasn't the thing. The internet became accessible to everybody, and there was that whole post ECW sort of vibe. There was that new Ring of Honor sort of cruiserweighty, hard-hitting style became popular. It then kind of morphed into its own thing with a lot of the British style. So I think the FWA was just something that came about at the right time, with the right personnel, the right attitude. And it's a shame that it didn't grow, but looking back, was it very much a product of its time? It might well have been, and that's, you know, things don't last forever, but I think the FWA has got an indelible mark on the current British wrestling scene, because you look at a lot of the style that's popular now, that independent style. I think the FWA was the first platform for that in British wrestling.
I think the wrestling channel had a lot to do with that as well, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fucking damn shame that we don't have the wrestling channel or something like that to showcase how much talent there really is in this country. You know, it's nuts, man, because there is some real good shows being put on. Like I say, if you've got a Fire Stick, you can keep an eye on the stuff that's going on in the UK.
There's loads of different on-demand services, and everyone's got
yeah
social media and YouTube presences, but it's so difficult to kind of pin it down. And like, I think the advantage of the wrestling channel was that you would have one place, and it'd be like you'd have your schedule for it. I mean,
set your reminders,
channel,
Just...
The wrestling channel now will be wild, because you know, if you had like 6 o'clock would be a progress show, 7 o'clock would be some classic world of sport, 8 o'clock would be Rev Pro, 9 o'clock some New Japan. You know, I mean, this is all a lot of theoretical stuff with a lot of companies coming together to hash out quite complicated and expensive deals, no doubt. But for fans as a one-stop shop, that would be incredible. Basically like an independent version of the WWE network a few years back. Because when the network started showing they started showing a few more independent bits and pieces and buying out and stuff like that. But to have,
they've taken them off
I know
now,
Fight
haven't they?
TV does stuff. Yeah, they have. Fight TV, I suppose, has got something similar to that, but it's kind of harder to navigate because Fight TV's just got loads and loads of stuff. DOA put out a lot of stuff on Fight TV, and it looks great. But I think it's almost with Fight TV, there's so much on there. It's difficult to find anything new. If you know what you're looking for, it's brilliant. But if you're thinking, I just need to find some new wrestling, you've just got, you know, it's like you go to a restaurant and you've got a menu that's that thick, you know, you're not going to know where to start. And you're going to go, just have a cheeseburger, please, because that's what I know I like. And that's the downside of having so many streaming services. It's difficult to find anything new because you're spoiled for choice. So it's that double-edged sword where, you know, you are very fortunate to have so much, but not knowing where to start looking for anything new is a tricky thing.
I mean, the wrestling channel was great because I think it was really like British, you know, it was a British wrestling channel. So I mean, one thing that was really cool, man, and I mean it's a bit sad, but it's still quite fun to talk about it. I remember watching the wrestling channel and they had like the panel show thing. And I can't remember, they had loads of like guest hosts on there. I think they had the Pucker one, Darren Burridge and all that there, and they had a few other people. But I remember when we trained a couple of times, we went to Len Davis's place.
Yes.
Real Quality Wrestling. And he had this New Japan scarf that was over the door. And it was always on the wrestling channel because the set or whatever was kind of done by Len or whatever. He was helping Alex Shane do it or whatever. And it was just mad to see like, it's like, dude, we trained where that's Len's scarf. That's Len's scarf.
That was cool, wasn't it?
You know, so I mean, like I say, it's sad, obviously, because recently, obviously, Len Davis passed away.
Yes, Len passed not long ago.
Not too long ago, and you know, we've said how much of an influence he was in the British wrestling scene. I mean, even Joel Redman had, you know, great things to say about him.
Yeah, I mean, my paths only crossed with Len a handful of times, but it was always positive, and I think his influence, his influence on the show presentation and quality. I think he was the first one to do like big video screens and stuff at the RQW New York Cool shows, and he was bringing imports in, and you know, Len really wanted to make a product that looked good, because a lot of that time, you know, early mid 2000s, the vast majority of shows were a ring in a room and that was it. And Len looked to build some deeper level of presentation with his shows. So you got to respect that.
Absolutely, man. He was, you know, he used to help TNA with their setups and the rings and everything. You know, he went around. He did a lot with TNA. I mean, I know I did a few bits, like they used to send us me and my mate Lee. Do you remember Lee, my pal Lee that I used to go
Yeah,
training with? Shout out to Lee, man. He's still knocking about around here. But
awesome
yeah, you
stuff.
know, we used to get flyers for the TNA show sent by TNA, and we used to go around and distribute them, do some bits and bobs with them and that. But yeah, I know Len used to go all over the place with TNA. But yeah, man, fucking great times. But yeah, British wrestling, there is a love for it in this country. I mean, we went to Clash at the Castle.
Brilliant.
It was fucking fantastic, dude. We're going to the SmackDown.
20 years, people were crying out for a big level show like that, weren't they, in the UK? And I think that's great to see. And then Money in the Bank coming over, like you just mentioned, in July is going to be fantastic for all fans to have, because it's, you know, I mean, I remember the days where you'd have like the Rebellion events and stuff like that at the Manchester Evening News Arena, and they were very much a glorified house show, and it was what it was. Whereas this is a proper event with actual stakes, and it's got a purpose, and it's going to be linked to everything that's current, and it's an exciting time for sure, dude. It's awesome.
Ask him if he watches AEW, JB. Ask him.
I was gonna. I just want to make a point. Like those shows, those FWA shows. One, people should run the Broxbourne Civic Hall way more.
Oh, dude. Yes, and especially because I live 9 minutes from there. 9-minute walk from the Broxbourne Civic Hall, right? So if anyone, I know there was a show there in February, so if anybody's going to run the Broxbourne Civic Hall, I live 9 minutes from there, so you know.
Right, if anyone's listening,
brother.
Book
local talent, brother.
Local
front
hero.
Page news, you know?
Local hero,
front
baby.
page news all over the world for positive reasons. And you know, this being front page. As soon as I told people that I was front and back page news of the national in the UAE, everyone immediately thought, "Oh, he's getting deported." But it was for wrestling, you know.
Mugshot,
yeah, man. Like, you know, British man does insert a terrible thing there, but no.
Some drunken debauchery, I would imagine.
Dude. Like, you know, going back to when I moved out there, everyone thought they wouldn't even let me off the plane. But you know, I think if I was there much longer, I'd have probably, you know, ascended to. I'd have landed in something which was quite fun, because that's what I do.
So, yeah, let's run the Broxbourne Civic Hall. Anyone, book Skip, and also that was the first time I saw anyone in wrestling with what I can only be describing as at least 6 to 8 inch lifts in their boots.
Yes.
Jesus, man. Like, I mean, I'm not joking. This geezer was taking the piss.
It was like platform shoes, man. It was like
because he came in without the boots on, and then like he comes out into the ring and stuff, and he's like 6 to 8 inches taller. I'm like, nah, you're having us on here. Like, come on, man. Like, you know,
I coached the guy years ago, and he got some lift in his boots, and I'm showing to the camera, which is always good for a mainly audio thing. And it must have been, you know, we're men, so that's about 8 inches.
Yeah,
right?
at least.
But you know, these lifts were, and I was like, mate, I'd break my ankle even trying to put my foot in my boot. And he's like, yeah, you gotta look tall, dude. I'm like, mate, your heel is where my shin bone is in my boots. Like that isn't right. Like in your boots, your heel is where your shin bone should be, not in the heel recess of your boot.
That'd be good for your legs.
It made me laugh. Yeah, I was reminded of those lifts like the other day because I saw MJF go into the media scrum.
Oh, you fucking leave Maxwell alone, dude.
And he was wearing some heavy lifts.
Shut your damn mouth.
They were some proper Spice Girl boots. I think I saw a picture of that, and it's like, wow, Baby Spice wasn't going to be happy about them.
Have you seen the pictures of his bar mitzvah that have just come out?
Oh, dude, that was wild.
That's fucking wild. Maximania.
Yeah,
Maria Kanellis at his fucking bar mitzvah.
No, what was that? No.
Yeah, I think that was her. 100%.
Stop.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Good old Maxwell. He's my dude, man.
What a man. Living the dream.
Living the dream. I mean, AEW. We're talking about AEW.
Hang on. So let me ask him this: how many of Tony Khan's calls have you skipped over? Have you just ignored?
Oh, mate, I you know, it
getting boring now
on my screen.
Yeah.
He's got his own ringtone. It's, you know, do you want to build a snowman? It's there goes any chance of me ever working for AEW, but no.
Fuck that guy.
AEW, do you think it's been good for the business?
Yes, mainly. but I feel in terms of quality, it's just like when it first started, there was so much buzz and excitement. And again, like 20 years, everyone's been begging for a viable alternative, because there were times when TNA Impact, went up and down and had its kind of peaks and troughs. And then AEW came out, and it looked like an immediate viable threat to WWE. And there was some familiar talent, some name talent, and they've made talent. I mean, there's some talent in AEW that I think are absolutely incredible. Like for me, one of the most exciting performers in all of wrestling now is Jade Cargill. Like that woman is just money waiting to happen. As soon as she gets bored with wrestling, she's just going to go and make a whole bunch of money elsewhere. But now watching AEW, I don't watch it anymore. I think that's probably the best indicator of it. I used to keep up with it fairly regularly, and now I might see the odd bit that pops up on Instagram or Facebook and whatnot. But for the most part, it exists, and that's all it is now to me as a fan and as a performer.
You notice how quiet we both went when you said Jade Cargill?
No,
Yeah.
do you know what? Jade Cargill.
That.
No, do you know what? Yeah, Jade Cargill looks $1 million fucking bucks.
Absolutely.
She is what a wrestler should look like. Yeah.
Oh, she's what a superhero looks like.
Absolutely phenomenal. But she hasn't really got much better very quickly. I think I think what she needs to be is working with the girls on the other show. Like, do you know what I mean? She needs to be in there with your what's her name? Fucking Paige and all that over the other side.
Yeah.
Can I just also say I genuinely don't believe that Cargill ever recovered from the roasting she got from Brandy Rhodes on TV.
No. The
I genuinely think that was an absolute killer.
Was awful. And I think they've got to rebuild it. For me, Jade Cargill should be treated as female Goldberg. Like, keep Goldberg special. You know, when Goldberg's in WCW, they kept him special for so long. And then he comes to WWE and they're like, we don't really care or know what to do with you. You know, you put Goldberg into anything other than, you know, a spear and a jackhammer and
squashes,
anything else. You know, it's entertaining. You got to see it. You know, not everyone's a Bryan Danielson 60-minute wrestler, and that's fine. And I think as long as, I think Jade Cargill's got that presence that not many wrestlers have got. I think she's got that natural, that mad it factor that everybody talks about but can't ever put their finger on. I think if they
agree with
treat
that.
her like a wrestler,
yeah, I do agree with that.
Where are they going wrong?
Where are they going wrong?
Why are they going wrong?
God knows. I think it's, you know, perhaps direction and not
politics.
Having, you know, it's the normal wrestling things. Everyone wants to get their shit in, brother.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, though, even Goldberg needed opponents, and Jade Cargill hasn't really got the women's division in AEW.
Isn't deep enough.
It's not deep enough. We've said this from day one that, you know, they've not even got a women's tag champions, have they? There's no.
It's a tough call, but you know, I think she's one of the few glimmering beacons of hope there. I did really, I say I don't watch it. I did catch the Christian Cage and Jungle Boy buried alive casket match, and I really enjoyed that because I think you look at the difference in composure and timing of Christian Cage to a lot of other wrestlers, and it's like night and day. It's just.
Well, he knows the score. He knows exactly how to do it. Yeah.
And then some. Yeah. Just you compare everything he was doing, you know, even when he was just beating down Jungle Boy, just laying in the punches, and he knows when to let it breathe, when to let it rest. You know, it was like watching a conductor conducting an audience playing Tonka toys. But
you know, no wasted movement, wasn't it? With Christian, even the way he lifts his arm to do the punching. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. It's you know, you've got these guys that are grabbing the back of each other's heads and just doing that all the time.
Yeah, the hockey fight. It looks
wow, how boring is that now? Like how played out. Yeah.
Christian's goal.
First time it was great, but that hockey fight spot, like the first time you see it, you're like, "Woo, this is exciting!" And then you watch it again, you're like, "Oh, you're exposing everything."
It happened in like 2 matches in a row in Revolution.
Oh man!
And I was done by then. I'm like, "Fuck, man! Like, come on!"
That's the thing. When there's so much repetition.
Someone needs to step in and go, right, now they've just done that in the first match. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, or you save difficult. It. Yeah, save it for the end or something. Like, save it for the brawl after the match. Who fucking knows? But
yeah.
I wanted to ask you as well, man. Like, do you feel like people rush a little bit too much these days?
Oh god, yeah. I mean, this
Right.
is the classic bitter old wrestler stuff, and I mean,
I don't think it is.
No,
I've got my
I think
middle-aged
it's-
wrestler group chat, but like going back to what we said about someone like Christian, you look at that, and I watched. We shared a match to some of the new trainees, and it was a throwaway TV match from 1987, Dutch Mantel against Terry Taylor, and you want to talk about slow down and make everything count. This match, like the main thing that I can remember they worked a top wrist lock for about 6 minutes. Dutch Mantel was like building to be a shitbag heel throughout, but he didn't resort to like just throwing punches and cheating straight away and getting in front of the ref and breaking the rules in front of the referee. I think like it's a 6-7 minute match, and it's about 4 or 5 minutes in before he took Terry Taylor away from the ref, gave him a open hand heel shot to the forehead with the heel of his hand, and that was the first bit of dirtiness that he did throughout the match because he'd been made to look silly and outsmarted. And I mean that's probably an extreme example of slow it down, but you need to have the rests and stops. Like I'm trying to learn how to not compose music, but how to kind of understand it because it's always fascinated me. And one of the big things in music is where you've got the rests and the stops. And you need those because in wrestling, you do actually need those moments where you let everyone digest what's happened. And then you've got the next part. It's not stopping for the sake of it. It's not slowing down for the sake of being old, but you've got to have those moments where things breathe. Otherwise, it just becomes a fireworks display where there's no emotional response to it. But, I think the whole music analogy is really good because you listen to a great bit of music where it swells and it moves and there's, the lyrics come in and then the beat speeds up, whatever might happen. You start to build that emotional response to it. And then you compare that to a fireworks display and you're like, ooh, pretty, yay, clap, 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 clap. Next thing, ooh, pretty, yay, clap, clap, clap. And you can't remember anything that happened. There might have been a red one, a green one, and a loud one, but that's it. And I think that's, that slowing down and those pauses, they're the bits which it gives you time to digest. It gives it time for those things to organically build and swell, and then you can respond to it as a performer. And that's when the magic happens, man.
So what you're saying is AEW is wrestling GABA. Is that?
Yes. It's just
just constant. Oh man, yeah. Oh, I'm just itching me.
428 BPM. It's
God,
ripping through your mouth.
Oh man, I do remember though when we were training, one thing that you and Ash and everyone has always said to us: if you think you're going too slow, go slower.
Yeah, and it's the mad. And honestly, like it's the biggest cliche thing, but it's taken me 20 years in wrestling to actually understand what that really means. Doesn't mean to actually physically move slower. It doesn't mean to respond slower. It means to let it sit, let it breathe, let it be, rather than just going, right, I've got you in a headlock, we're going slow, brother. No, man, that's not what it means. It's all about just kind of let that moment swell, let it, have those rest bits in there, not rest as in you're lying there doing nothing, rest as in music where there's that deliberate pause between the rhythm, the beat, all the other things. So yeah, a lifetime it's taken me to actually get that understanding of it. So that's wild to think of that.
It's great. Like, I mean, it's great that you think like that. I have like it's one of my hotter takes. It's I feel like a lot of these guys, especially in AEW, in some of the higher end indie shows as well, they don't really know how to read an audience. Like, I feel like they struggle or they just don't want to. They just want to do their moves, get their claps, get that holy shit in, which is one of the most played out chants in wrestling as well. And then get to their false finishes. Like, there is no reason, which is why at the moment, the bloodline over anything else happening on TV and any other channel is better than
100%.
Yeah, than what we're seeing.
Because there's an emotional response to what's going on. That's the thing.
Definitely.
I'll tell you what, when you talk about older wrestlers and newer wrestlers being able to work together, again, on my Amazon Fire Stick, I saw a fantastic match. I weren't in Liverpool, but I saw it on my fucking TV because that's technology. It was Dean Allmark versus Dan Maloney. And it was...
two of the best.
Bro, it was fucking phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal.
You're blending that classic style. I mean, Dean Allmark can do everything.
He's
Dan
fantastic.
Maloney's incredible. You know, that's probably gonna be a peak 2020s match. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be everything that you want. It's not gonna be rushed, but it's gonna have. Even up until a few years ago, I was still going to seminars and things like that. And Spiebel Bailey, he did one, and kind of talked about how you're building that flow to a match. And I was like, wow, that's really, really good, because it's now giving me an understanding of going, okay, this is how you do this, and you build your false finishes, and you have this on top of this, and okay, brilliant, right. And it's not about just kind of getting your shit in and going, oh, I'm doing a brainbuster and then a pile driver and then a falcon arrow and then a top rope, this and this and this and this, and we're all going to kick out of it. It's just building and building and building. You know, you hit me with a 6, I hit you with a 6. You hit me with a 7, I hit you with a 7.5. You hit me with an 8, I hit you with an 8. What, you know, just thinking of you building it like that. And then finally, it's whatever, you get to 10. And that's how you've built it. And it's a really interesting way to kind of have that view on the psychology and the build of things. And guys like Dean Allmark and Dan Maloney are two of the greatest exponents of showing that style.
And I tell you what, people, Mike Bailey was fantastic in that J Cup final, wasn't he, JB?
It was a hell of a night. It was
great night, man.
I mean, if we're talking about fire stick wrestling, I watched a show recently. It was a Super World Sports show, and the main event was Hogan and Tenryu. So I mean, it was good. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
I found
it's good.
There were some random clips going around. I think it's either Instagram or Twitter, and it was Tugboat and Bam Bam Bigelow from like the early Raws, and I thought, oh, this looks a bit of me. Two big dudes slapping meat, and Lance Storm. It was on Twitter because I remember Lance Storm had commented, these big boys had their working boots on. I was like, what's this about? Let's watch this. Because I remember these like big slow plodding dinosaurs when I was like 9, 10 watching it.
Yeah.
Oh man, these guys are just like two rhinos running at each other. And I said to the middle-aged man group chat, and it's you know, these were proper athletes, these guys. You know, they were linebackers in college and high school football. These were just proper wrecking machines.
Absolute
who could
units,
just run at things and hit and keep going and keep going. And you're like, yeah, these aren't just like big old decrepit rhinos. These are just smashing machines. And it was great. You know, these guys are moving at a rate of knots. Again, no wasted motion. Let's get the right syllables out. And it was brilliant. So that sort of stuff I love. I love a good meat slapping match. You know, it's not just the tackle, stand strong and pause.
Yeah.
You know, these guys can throw a drop kick. Bam Bam threw one of the best enziguris, and he could cartwheel and do backflips and all sorts of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it's knowing how, what, when, why, and how to do it.
I mean, the other take from that is that Sunset Skip knows what Instagram is. So
yeah,
I thought you had a guy for that, but
I do. I just kind of I'm posting pictures every couple of weeks, and he sends it. It cost me a fortune in stamps, man. But you know, it's.
I mean, we joked that you are like a relic of the '80s, but I mean, you are so bright and
man in the digital world. It's, you know,
you got that. Like, I almost feel like you've listened to Randy Savage, like, you know, when they asked him why his costume was so bright and all like so wild, he said because people were channel hopping, and if they see a geezer in a suit like that, like they're sticking around for a minute.
100%,
and
100%. You know, I'm not a body guy, never have been, so that's not going to be the thing that will draw people.
Meaty guy, that's it.
Big meaty dude, and I'm a big meaty dude in like pink zebra stripes and green leopard print and red leopard print and all of this, and you know, I've got boots with flames on it now and all sorts of stuff, and people are going to go, oh, he's different. And they'll hopefully remember me. You know, they might if I've done everything I can, they'll remember my name, but at the very least they'll be like, oh, that's that big noisy guy who wore lots of colors. I remember him. Let's go see him again. And that's always been a principle I've done throughout my career, you know. And like the whole Randy Savage thing, when I was changing up my look after COVID, because I was wearing the trunks and the kind of, I call it a rash top, but it's more like an adult baby grow with tassels on it, which is a real weird thing to say out loud. But I was like, right, I want to go for something a bit different. So I go for the whole like slashed up shorts thing. So I was like, what would Randy Savage wear in 2023? I was like, he would probably wear something not too similar to that, because like you said, JB, he wanted to have that, I guess, non-channel flippability. You know, you see that and go, ooh, what's that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's an it factor for sure.
Yeah, yeah. There was another guy that had it before. He was called Rich and Famous. I don't know if you remember him.
Brilliant.
What a
He was
guy.
like a Sunset Skip, but more hair, a little bit thinner, but slightly less leopard print. But he was a great dude.
Oh, great dude, man. Good times.
So what's on the agenda? I know you've got some stuff coming up. Like what's coming up very soon? Like where can we see you?
Well, the next place all depends on when this comes out, but on Saturday the 18th of March, I'm in DOA Wrestling in Great Yarmouth, taking on Lord Stephen Farrell and this is one thing I love. I'm trying to bring these back, the gimmick matches. I've got a brass knuckles on a pole match. So we've got a bit of retribution. There's going to be some meaty hits there because the Farrell family stole the Pan-Arabian Championship away from Sunset Skip. So I'm looking to get that back. Then upcoming, I've got some Wrestling Society coming up in March and April. There's some UBW coming up as well. So just keep having a look on the Sunset Skip socials on the Instant Ham, I believe they call it, and Twitter @FindSunsetSkip. I post everything, or I literally post it in an envelope to a dude. I get things sent on a photo.
Get the rats to take it to the post box.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, they take a while and they cost me a lot of cheese. But
I have to apologize because it was me that posted the sound of Gorilla and Jesse when you body slammed that massive.
That was one of my favorite things, and the fact that was synced so perfect. I'll have to put that out when this interview comes out, because that was so perfectly timed. Like even the lift and the slam motion was perfectly. I love how I'm even pantomiming doing this. Like it was all perfectly synced and perfectly timed. I thought that was a genius stroke.
Every now and again, I get a little bit creative. It's as far as I get. But
keep it few and far between, just like me. Surprise people.
It's the quality that comes through, man. It's not the quantity; it's the quality.
That's it, man.
And it's just beautiful.
What's the lower expectations and over deliver? I think is my moniker for life. Promise nothing, deliver slightly more, and people think you're fucking amazing.
Oh man, it's great. I mean, we need to actually. I mean, like you say, life gets in the way, and it's hard to get to certain bits and bobs. But we need to get to a show with you on at some point.
Absolutely, definitely the 10-year show, because we've got it's down the line, and realistically, with life and stuff like that, we can get that in the diary. Get you guys down to have a chat with some of the other wrestlers as well.
I think Chris has got to dust off that massive microphone he's got with the.
Yes.
I built a microphone with the actual square with Chat Grapple and Cheap Pops on it. That's where we caught Joel Redmond. That we went to St Albans Civic Hall. Right. And it was who was it? It was Premier Promotions when it was.
It was Brian's.
It was Brian's. Yeah.
All-Star.
All-Star. That's it. Yeah. So it was we got Joel Redmond there. We got Dean Allmark for a second. Brilliant. And Lucian Phillips, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Is another dude. He's been on Rev Pro shows. He's a great guy, man. He's fucking fantastic. We caught an interview with him, and he had like a Dr. David Schultz t-shirt on or whatever.
Chris was shitting at that point.
I was shitting it because, everyone.
Lucy and I did a couple of bits at some training seminars together. He's a big hard hitter, so we were really angling for a match. I mean, this is good 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I come back to the country, we were angling for a match, and I think our kind of paths, as they do, separate. But I'd love a proper meat slap with him. That'd be unreal.
Man,
if anyone's listening, man, book it, man. We want to see
it at the Vauxhall Civic, because it's 9 minutes from me.
Fucking book it, and they will come. Man, we'll dust off the mic. I've got a mic with the actual square, proper interviewing people, sticking the mic in people's faces, doing the business.
Perfect.
So, we'll definitely got to get down and see. I mean, the last time I watched you wrestle was actually online. It was on Facebook, and it was you retained.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was the match that you did your knee in.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
And it was live streamed on Facebook. But you retained. Great. It was a little while ago, man. I think it was, a good couple of years back, maybe. A good year.
It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think 2 years ago I hurt my knee. I thought I really messed it up because I heard a really loud snap, and I rolled out the ring. I couldn't stand. But luckily, it was some ligament damage. So I was still out for about 3 months. But luckily, it was ligament strains rather than tears and whatnot. Because yeah, I'll never forget that sound. And I just dropped, and it was a freak thing. I went to do deep six, and as I was turning, I dragged my foot on the canvas. Body went one way, knee went the other. Down we go.
Always
So,
that innocuous shit, isn't it? I mean, you could do flips and
I've done that
twists
move
and
dozens
turns.
of times,
Yeah.
dozens of times, hundreds probably, and never anything. So I don't know if it's that complacency or just,
Shit
canvas
happens,
was
man.
loose, or I, took half a step too late, too soon, whatever. There was no fault of anybody, no rhyme or reason to it. Like you said, just that dreadful luck.
Well, that's the problem with you young guys. You don't stretch that much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you
Dude,
just go out and work and go home. Yeah.
Mate, I have to stretch before I go up the stairs these days. I put my shoes on and I'm doing 10 minutes of yoga to just get my ankles moving.
Well, I mean, we could chat to you for a whole other freaking hour and a half or whatever, but obviously we know, Skip has settled down now. He's got a family, he's got kids.
Brother.
Yeah, that's it, bro. So we'll let you get on.
Men.
But
literally, yes.
We really appreciate it, man.
It's been brilliant,
because,
boys. Thank you so much.
We should have had you on a long time ago.
No, you know what? You save the worst till last. It's like, when you're doing the housework, you're like, I'll clean the toilet last. So we've gone round the rim. We've pumped the cushions. We've done a bit of hoovering, and now we're just giving the rim a little bit of a scrub.
Hell no, man! Like we, as always, the offer for round 2 is on. Is
100%.
Always out there. Like we would love to have you on again. We'll, till we could talk about, that American wrestling stuff that you did years ago, all that stuff.
Yeah, brother.
Out there. But we say this now, like, and more recently, we have shout out to. I wanted to ask you quickly: have you had offers in Ireland?
Not for a long, long time. Like years and years back when the scene was
Irish
first
Whip.
opening up, I was talking just before Irish Whip even become a thing. There was a bit of a precursor to them. But there was nothing kind of came of it because it was that long ago. But yeah, I would like to, but who knows? There's I'm good friends with a guy, Sean Don. He wrestles as over, and he's part of Hard Knocks Pro Wrestling, so they're really building something over there. So I'd love to kind of go over there some point down the line, but
the reason I ask is because for some reason this ridiculous show is popular in Ireland.
No way.
And in Australia as well. Like we're in Australian charts. Why? I don't
love
know,
these jabronis, man. They love it.
That's awesome, man. I love it.
Australia, book this man.
Absolutely. Give me a couple of stopovers though, because I'm really, really not a good traveler. I get bored too easily, and I go for a little wander. So either stick me on a direct flight or give me a chance to wander.
Let him roam. You heard the man.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can't tame me.
Oh man, Skip, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
Been brilliant.
Yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful. We can't thank you enough. We look forward to seeing you soon, whether we're just coming to watch you in the ring or whether you come on the show or whether we meet up in person for that little cup of tea.
All of those
we always talk
things.
about.
Let's do that. Let's see in the real world, because that's the best way to connect, isn't it?
Perfect, man.
Sweet,
Sunset Skip.
Oh, boys,
thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Nice one, man.
Cheers, boys.
Take care. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much to Sunset Skip for giving us his pearls of wisdom and having a jolly old laugh with two J Bros from Hertfordshire.
He gave us his pearls of wisdom. He could have given us a pearl necklace. We would have let him. Sunset Skip, good friend of the show, man. We go way back, and it's just nice to see that he's he's still up there, still getting booked, still in the business, still working. Guy's a hoss for sure.
Oh yeah, a meat slapping hoss.
He's a
hoss
meat
man,
mate. Sunset Skip versus Lucian Phillips. Come on. Someone booked
Where's
that
that been on our lives? Yeah, like, come on.
Right, we need to speak to someone about that. We need to get on it.
Right. Before we go, it's time to pay the metaphorical bills.
we got to feed the monkey, man.
We got to shout our man Domas.
That's right.
Because if you need a high quality VPN, let's face it, stop you losing all your shit.
Absolutely.
Keep yourself hidden in the internet world. That does sound weird, but it's not really. Surfshark VPN will keep you safe.
It'll keep you safe. You've got your virus protection. You've got your VPN. You've got your pop-up blockers. You can have it on all of your devices. In this day and age, you need it, JB.
Of course you do.
Need it.
Do.
Not just for when you're online and you want to be watching stuff as if you're in America or Japan or Mexico or whatever. Just to keep your online business dealing safe whenever you're buying stuff online, whether you're on eBay, whether you're on fucking Amazon, whether you're doing whatever. You have got your VPN there. You've got your virus protection. Everything's keeping you safe. No one can steal your identity. That is one of the #1 crimes in the world, online identity theft.
Stay protected.
Stay protected. It's like your digital Johnny. So yes. You need it, okay?
your digital prophylactic.
That's right. Sorry, Thomas.
Yeah, we had to make it dirty. How do we get by?
But yeah, what's the deal?
Protect yourselves. Let's be honest. People will tell you that Big Brother and the government aren't watching you. They fucking are. And that's not us being conspiracy nuts or anything like that. They're always trying to get a little jib in, see what you're doing, see what you're spending, see what you're after.
That's right.
Don't let them do it. It's the same thing with holiday companies and, cookies and all that stuff. They'll know that you're looking for a holiday. Stick your VPN on. See the difference in price. I can show this to you at some point. Like, don't let me forget about this because I've done it. Search for a holiday without your VPN on. Search just a different website, coming out similar price. Stick your VPN on. Tell them you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Watch that package get cheaper. Watch the flight go down.
Mate, if you're looking for a train ticket to Middlesbrough, for example, buy a Palmo and book it with your VPN on, and with your VPN off, you'll see the difference.
Stay safe.
You've got the deal is 83% off and free months. So you're getting a fantastic deal. Overall, it'll cost you anything between £12 and £14. It changes. And
that's with your antivirus as well.
Do you know what I mean? What more can you want, mate? Surfshark, VPN. Get it or get got. You know what I mean?
That is one way to say it. That is. Whilst we are finishing this up, I will tell you to like and subscribe in a minute. We are shouting out Ireland because we love you.
Yep.
We are shouting out Australia because we fucking love you.
Yep.
And don't let that word fucking annoy you, Ireland, because we love you. It's just Australians curse like it's regular. That's just right. How they talk. That's fine. We fucking love you. That's great. And yes, we would love if everyone hit the subscribe button. We'd love if everyone listened, gave us 5 stars. We know it's not always possible, but sometimes it is. You don't need the bell. You don't need the notifications. Cool. But just give us a little tickle.
Give us a little tickle, but also slap our bells. Why would you not? It costs you absolutely nothing. It really, really helps the show out. The more subscribers we get, the bigger we'll be popping up in people's algorithms and stuff like that. And let's not forget, dude, okay? We have got one of the most expansive lists of basically any of the UK-based wrestling podcasts with regards to shoot interviews, mate. We have, we've got the list goes on. We've got Sonny Ono, we've got Duke the Drumster Drosy, we've got Santino Marella, Jameson, Dean Ayas, another British wrestling staple, Chris Hamrick, Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright, Kiwi, Joel Redman, Eric Watts, Max Payne, Marty Elias, author of Blood and Fire, Brian R. Solomon. We've had him on twice. Glacier. I mean, Keith Elliott Greenberg, Jasmine Sinclair, Billy Barty, 2-time joined us. You know what I mean? So
2-time.
That's just the shoot interviews, let alone the reviews, other shows that we've done. We have got content up the fucking wazoo. Please subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. It really will help us out.
1,151 of you as of right now cannot be wrong.
Absolutely. But there's also a huge amount of people that watch that are not subscribed. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, what the fuck are you doing, man? Just quickly tap the little thing. You don't even need notifications, but obviously that would be great because then you know whenever another episode's coming out. But just tap the bell, click off notifications if you must. But please subscribe, please. We love it. We love every single one of you.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We've got some great guests in the pipeline. We've had some messages. I've had a message today that has gassed me up. It definitely buttered my parsnip. You know, we've got, I know, it's, you know, wow. All I'm saying is, you know, it could be a great one. This, you know, fuck it, I don't want to.
We won't spoil any surprises just yet. But
that's right.
For now, as we do, we will say thank you. I didn't get to say this at the beginning, but you know, from me, JB, I thank you. I love you all, and just as much as that, the Raz Prince of wrestling podcasts.
That's right.
The best Chris in all of wrestling podcasts, Mr. Chris Dredd.
Boom.
He thanks you too. I don't want to be too presumptuous and say he loves you all, but I think he does.
I do. But when I say fuck you, it don't mean that I want to fuck you. It just means I'm the Raz Prince. Anyone who gets that reference will be
upper echelons.
That's the upper echelon baby. Phone shop reference right there. But yes, I do thank each and every one of you alongside my main man, JB. We're very, very thankful that we still got motherfuckers watching us, enjoying what we do, and we're just going to keep doing it. It keeps us sane in this crazy world. There's so much going on. You know, we don't talk no politics on this show. We talk about wrestling, and that is what we've just done with our main man, Sunset Skip, our Mr. Miyagi. We are but mere Daniel sons to him. He taught us how to wax on, wax off, and we loved every minute of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Paint the fence. Fucking, he was our Mr. Miyagi alongside obviously others there. Shout out to Ash and all the man them there. Currently running UBW, I believe. So yeah, we just great to have Skip on, and we've got more stuff in the pipeline. So do stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.